Distractions are like uninvited guests. They show up, disrupt the flow, and leave you wondering where the time went. Today I'm diving into this topic with someone who knows all about pushing through distractions, my brother Drew. Man, they had it at a show, and I was like, I have like 15, and they're like, here, take a box. And so they gave me a box, and ever since then I've been taking them. They're good. They have orange, watermelon, lime is the one I got you. I got you the.
I like how you can, like, it's salty, but there's a hint of sweetness from the coconut.
Yeah, it's
Have
good.
you noticed that?
Oh yeah, that's why I like
Let me
it.
get my phone off the table.
Get the phone off the table. What's up, yo?
What's up?
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I am an expert, actually, on distractions.
You are. We both are, I think.
Yeah. ADHD boy over here.
Growing up, that's what our entire life was distractions. Let's get a Christmas update, New Year's update on Drew.
Okay.
What's going on?
Not much.
Got any big goals for 2025?
Yes. Hitting a sub-4 marathon. That's the goal for May.
And so you found it.
We found it. We're doing the OC. It hasn't been booked yet, but we will be booking it.
Yeah. That's kind of sick, though, because we ran the half last year. That was your first half. No, Team Tim was your first half.
Yeah. That was my second half. But it was my first sub, too.
Yeah. And then now it's full circle.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And it was perfect and beautiful. So
yeah, it was nice.
It was like, I think it'd be a good marathon. So.
And we had our other Asian running friend, Parker.
Yeah, and now he's not here. No longer a runner.
Sad days. All right, sub-4.
That's probably the biggest one. Which should I share our 2026?
Yeah, throw it out there. Let's get it.
So the goal is to get the sub-4 early this year, so that the rest of the year we can be prepping for our first 50-miler.
First 50-miler.
2026.
Yeah, I'm looking to do one though in fall, so it'll be
my first 50-miler.
But our first race together, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's sick.
You'll probably just be walking with me the whole time. But
No, we'll kill it. Yeah. Where is it again? Sedona.
In April of 2026.
Perfect. So, back to Arizona.
Can't
get away from the ultras in Arizona.
Nope.
It's worth it though.
This one will be pretty though.
Very good.
Hot summertime.
Yeah, so. We're not gonna die.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
Right.
Well, very good. Anything else? Any other goals?
I mean, other goals, but they're sitting here.
Other personal ones.
Chest, yeah.
Fair enough. But running wise, we're getting after it.
I mean, and obviously, I could say my aesthetic goal. I want to have a 6-pack by the end of the year too.
You don't just want that. You want David Goggins' body.
Yeah, I want David Goggins' body. Yeah.
Do you ever think about David Goggins when you're distracted?
Yes.
I do all the time. There's a guy knocking on the door. There's a big loud.
Yeah.
Big loud one.
Yeah.
It's a little spooky. He doesn't know we're recording a podcast, so I apologize. Anyways, I do all the time.
Yeah.
I think about David Goggins yelling at me. What can you do? Anyways, getting into it. The reason I want to talk about distractions today is because I think with 2025, a lot of people set resolutions, myself included. I think it's important to take a look at how the year went before, see what went well, what could have gone better, and how you can improve. Like, that's always an important thing to take note of. And there's something I heard the other day. So, have you heard of Quitter's Day? It's
yes.
It's like the second week of January or something like that.
Yeah.
On a Friday. Maybe it's the first Friday in January, but that's when people tend to, like 80% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions. And I used to be someone like that. Like, I used to probably set too ambitious and like hard goals to achieve for myself, and it didn't seem feasible. And so when I got to the point where I was like, okay, well, this is too hard, I'd be one of those guys that rings the bell on Quitter's Day.
Yeah.
But I think from my own personal experience, distractions are kind of what take you away from that. Like, distracting from the hard thing that you know you need to do. And it's not necessarily a negative thing. Like, I still, when I like have a day when I don't want to run and it takes me a while to get out of the door, like, no matter what, I know I can do it. It's just I have to push past that feeling of, hesitancy and fight through. And the distraction is is saying, don't do it. You don't need this. You need a rest day. Like, go do something else. Do something productive. But in my head, I know I need to get it done because that's what I want to achieve. And I have a goal of doing 2,000 miles this year. So last year I ran 1,900. So an extra 100. But if I want that, like, I have to be consistent with running, and I can't be distracted when those siren calls come. Do you know what a siren is?
Yes, I know what a siren is.
It's so good.
Classic Greek mythology.
The Iliad, yes. Anyways, but I think it's important to, like, be honest with yourself and understand that, like, distractions are going to happen to everyone. I think it's interesting because they've always been around. Like, distractions have always been around. There was this tweet I saw where it was like, back in 1920, it was all these people on the subway. Everyone had a newspaper, and then it was like 2024, everyone was on their phone. It's like the same thing, but it's just a different form of distraction.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of been always, that's just human nature, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, it feels good to clock out.
For sure it does.
And not be the person, that you are sometimes.
I mean, what does David Goggins always say? He's like, you know what you have to do, but, like, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But you got to dig down deep and just get it done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think because, like, people blame it on, like, the buzzing of a phone, or, I don't know, you might have, like, a nagging thought that distracts you from your work. I even think, like, some forms of productivity can be forms of distraction. Like, you might think it's beneficial to go and do your laundry if you work from home, like, to help your wife. You're telling yourself the story. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. Like, she'll come home, she's gonna give me a kiss, and she'll, be really thankful for the fact that I did the laundry. But really, you're ignoring the other tasks that you need to do. Bad example, but I think the principle applies. Like, it's hard to.
Excuse me.
You okay there?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm just kidding. But I don't know. How do you think we stay focused in a world that, like, thrives on pulling our attention away from what we want or from what we know we need to do?
Yeah, I think distractions are easy.
Yeah.
And it's about choosing the hard, like
We did just talk about that. Choose your hard.
yeah. But also just, like, I don't know, like, I feel like the biggest distraction isn't just our phones.
Yeah.
Like, you talked about New Year's resolutions, which I think New Year's resolutions are BS.
I do too.
I think that it should just be like you're always on. You're always setting goals, always, doing that.
I think New Year's resolutions is like a review time.
Yeah.
Like, you take a look at what you did the past year and be like, okay, well, this went well. I'm doubling down on that. This did not. I'm going to remove that from my life, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But it's like a reflection time, because you're right. Like, you should always strive to get just a little better every day.
Yeah. So I think New Year's resolutions are kind of BS, but you talk about, like, New Year's resolutions, people fall off. I think a big problem, and who was it that talks about this? I can't remember. I don't know if it was Goggins or it might be someone else. I can't remember. But they were talking about how when you start to, like, make serious changes about yourself, the people around you that know you for being that person,
Yeah.
they tend to hate you for it.
Have you seen that?
I think you've talked about this. What is that from?
No, yeah, that is David Goggins.
Is it David Goggins?
Yeah, but, like, it's kind of funny. I'm going to throw Allie under the bus for a second, but she just launched a podcast yesterday. It's all true crime stuff.
Yeah.
And she was talking to me last night, and she's like, it kind of sucks because the people who you want to support you, who tell you they're your friends and they care about you and they want to see you succeed, are the ones that ignore what you're doing and don't, say, hey, nice job with starting a podcast. Like, that's why I told her I fell back in love with her, is because she, like, would reach out and be like, hey, nice job. This is cool.
Yeah.
And I think people don't necessarily get angry. I think it's a jealous thing.
Yeah.
Because they see the potential that you're bringing to the table, and it's like, well, that guy's doing it, whatever. Like, it's probably not going to last. Yeah. But they're just sad because they're not doing anything. But they're hoping you do.
I feel like that's, like, a huge distraction, though. Like, I think that's probably why a lot of people tend to, like, quit, because no one believes in them.
The distraction of like people like naysayers. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like naysayers or like, I mean, just people who don't care maybe. But I think for me, the biggest way to get rid of distractions is to have some sort of accountability. That's where I was.
Tell me more.
That's where I was going with that. Like,
tell me more about that.
I mean, I've talked. How many times have I brought up you and me, right? Like, that's like probably the biggest way for me to get rid of distractions because I know if I don't run, I'm gonna hear it from you, and it's never negative. In fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate. Like, I hate when I tell you that I did like, oh, I only got 5 miles in, this or whatever, and you're just like, it's okay, get them next time. I'm like, screw you. Like I hate that. But
why is that? Why do you hate it?
I just
you know what you can do, right?
Because I know I can do it.
Yeah.
Or I could have done it, or I should have done it. So, but I think that's like a big piece that helps remove some of the distraction is having some sort of accountability, whether it's through someone else or it's yourself, which your self accountability is a lot harder than it sounds.
You've talked about that where it's like it started out as being accountable to me, like when we started working out and stuff, and you're like, I don't want to tell him I didn't get my 10 miler in or whatever the situation was. But now it's like turned inward, and now it's you are disappointed because exactly what you said, like, what you can do. Like, I'll hold you accountable and be like, hey, well, you're getting lazy, or what if that ever comes up. But I think it's more of a personal thing now for you because it is for me.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, that's painful sometimes.
Yeah. So I think that's probably like, especially like with the new year, new me, like going on, like that's probably like, in my opinion, I think the best way to start is get some sort of accountability. Like, even if it's like, I'm going to videotape myself saying I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to set a reminder to go watch it.
I was just telling you, my wife and I, we do that. We pretty much sit down and videotape ourselves talking about our goals for the year, and then at the end of the year, we watch that video either happy or sad,
right?
Depending on what we did.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea. Like, obviously, there's people out there who love and care about you. Hopefully, there is.
Yeah.
But if there is someone who like loves and actually cares about you, it could be your mom, your spouse, your dad.
It could be
friend.
Siri.
It could be Siri. ChatGPT actually, I had great conversations with that.
I mean, no, I'm saying like with Siri, you could use.
Keep going.
You could use it to basically, set reminders so that like.
Oh yeah.
You can be like, hey, set a reminder for me to go run, and then you could set a reminder for the next day, like, hey, did you run yesterday?
Yeah.
So it's always on your mind.
It's true.
If you don't have someone, which hopefully everybody has somebody.
Yeah. But I like that too. Like, Jordan Peterson has this rule where you treat yourself like your own best friend. And you should also treat yourself like someone who you aspire to be. Like, I want to be this person who changed their life and goes and runs. If this is someone who's like setting a goal to change their diet or fitness, whatever. And like, it is hard to get up off the couch and go for a run, especially if you haven't done it in a long time. But you have to know, like, doing those hard things will get you further in life and teach you more about yourself and make you feel better and do all these, like, great benefits for your health. And so in the end, like, that decision to get up and go do the hard thing is better for you, and you're treating yourself like your own best friend, like someone you care about.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. But I think, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Just be accountable to someone or something like Siri.
Yeah.
Or yourself. Film yourself. What's the biggest distraction you face on a daily basis?
TikTok, man. Being straight
we have
up.
some good ones though.
Dude, like,
come on.
The problem with me with social media is like, I'm not on it like the way most people are on it. Like, I'm not sharing stories. I'm not talking about my runs. I'm not like posting about my journal of my family. Like, I used to be like that where I'd post like happy birthday stuff every time for everybody that I love. And now I'm just like,
you're like, whatever.
If I love you, I'm going to text you or call you or be there on your birthday, but I use TikTok for the freaking memes, and they're so good. They're so good, and they just pull you right in.
Can you tell me about Funky Burger?
No, I can't. About Funky Burger.
Dang it.
That one's going to have to be searched on your own.
Go search Funky Burger.
But, like, I definitely struggle with it.
Yeah.
Like I'll catch myself even when I'm around my kids, like scrolling on TikTok or like laying in bed, like scrolling on TikTok or going to the bathroom, scrolling on TikTok. Like it is so hard. And I've gone through phases where I delete it and then I'll get text messages like, "Hey, did you see those 14 TikTok messages I
Probably
sent
from
you?"
me.
Yeah, from you, from Blake, from everybody. And I'm like, "No." So then I'll re-download it, go look, and then I'm back in. But like that's probably like the biggest one is just those dang TikToks, man.
Yeah. I'd honestly say just like for me, social media grabs my attention and throws me in a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I even realized myself, like I'm in sales, and so I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn and work like trying to reach out to people. But even like that is a form of social media, and I can find myself like distracting myself from what I actually need to be doing.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing, but it is a bad thing actually. And I've been catching myself the same thing and be like, hey, snap back, like let's go. But the reason I bring that up is I think this is a helpful thing. I read this about like how to crush your New Year's resolutions. And I know we're talking about like New Year's resolutions are kind of fads.
Yeah.
But I like this idea of performing like a distraction audit. So you pretty much just spend one day trying to identify what distracts you. So you wake up, if you reach for your phone, I think that's a form of distraction.
Yeah.
Like put it away, but make a note of that. Be like, okay, well, in the mornings, my phone is a distraction. And now, you have a good tip on that. Put it in the other room.
Yeah.
Put your phone in the other room. But go throughout your day and try and figure out what's pulling your attention from what you need to be doing or being with the people that you need to be with. Like if you're spending time with family, but you're on TikTok or you're on another social media, like, is it actually spending time with family? I don't know. No. You heard it here. But I think that's like an important thing to do and it requires honesty. You have to be honest with yourself, and sometimes it's ugly.
Yeah.
But it's beneficial for you, your goals, those around you. It's going to make you a better person. So that's what I would say is the first thing to do. Perform a distraction audit.
I like that.
I also think it's important to think about like where do distractions thrive? Like you try and understand the origin of these things. And I think it's distractions. They feed off of our discomfort, either with slow progress or mundane tasks. Like how many times have you ran and I don't know, maybe it's like a 12 or 13 mile run. You might start getting bored. How hard is it to stay in the game at that point? Like your legs are hurting. They're distracting you from the run.
I mean, everyone has those things, right?
Yeah.
I was about to say that never happens to me, but then I was like, no, that definitely happens to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, whoa, impressive.
I mean, like, yeah, I feel like with running, like, you just focus on like the end game.
Yeah.
At least that's what I do. It's like I think about, okay, I'm gonna feel so good when I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, or like another thing is like if I'm feeling a pain in my knee or my leg, like I try to think about that pain. Like to bring me back into it, and then then that pain goes away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what works for me on those. And like even with like with work, and I have mundane things I need to do, or like need to get a ton of stuff done, and if I need to stay focused, like I try to that same thing, like remind myself, like I'm either gonna go home feeling stressed out, like I didn't get anything done, or I'm gonna go home and lay my head on my pillow and
be proud of what I did. Yeah, perspective.
Yeah,
that's something Allie and I have been talking about a lot. Is like perspective, and I think with whatever goal you have, whether it's to have a 6-pack by the end of the year or run 2,000 miles, like you need to have perspective in mind and understand that there's gonna be hard days. Like there will be days when you don't want to do your ab exercises, or for me, like go and run.
Yeah.
Not saying you got to do ab exercises, but
I have to if I want a 6-pack.
That's true. And creatine.
Yeah.
Take some creatine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it is unappealing to like not see an immediate reward, and you have to delay gratification because I don't know. We are so focused or so. What's the word? So we have instant gratification.
Yeah.
What's that? Exposed to?
Yeah.
Maybe.
experience it.
We experience it all the time with like
time.
Amazon. It's like, oh, I need something, it comes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm hungry, I don't want to cook, I'll just go to a restaurant, like whatever.
Yeah.
But
Or like, oh, I need energy drink. Boom.
that's true. I used to drink a ton of those things. We both used to.
I still do.
I drink a lot, but maybe one a day.
Yeah.
Used to be like 2, 3
I do
sometimes.
one a day. So
3 if you include
Trying to stop.
pre-workout.
yeah,
Now I don't even take pre-workout.
that's impressive.
I need to take it again. I miss it. But anyways, it's like you have to be okay with the fact that you're not going to see an immediate reward, and you're going to need to delay your gratification for that end goal, whatever it is. And so having perspective, I think, helps with that.
Yeah.
Because you're aiming at a higher point to where it's like, okay, that's where I'm going. I know bumps are going to come up, and when they do, it's like I just know it's part of the process.
Yeah.
You got to trust the process and keep it going. There's this quote: "You can do everything, or you can do anything, but not everything." And I think what the guy, his name's David Allen, is trying to say there is, like, focus your attention on what actually matters most to you. And so, like, if you have a New Year's resolution, throw fitness, whatever you want, out the window, and it's just like, I want to spend more time with family, then do that and try and be the best person you can be in your job or whatever. But, like, realize you can't do everything at the beginning. It's going to lead to burnout.
Yeah.
It's going to make you want to distract yourself a lot faster than anything like that. So
That makes me. I hate bringing this back up because
please do.
I talk about this probably too much. But like when I first started losing weight,
Yeah.
I was training for the first Team Tim, my first half marathon, which I had never run before, right? But
What'd you weigh before, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
think I was 255 when I
Started running?
started running. I might have been 250,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. But I started training for Team Tim. I started loving running.
Yeah.
And then Team Tim came along, and just from running and training for that half marathon, I lost 10 pounds.
That's crazy.
And that was like huge for me because that was what I think like 2 or 3 months of training.
Yeah, it's fast.
It was really quick. I think I started in December.
And it's
Technically my first few runs were in November, but like started December, it was February. So was that 3 months?
3 months.
So I did 3 months of training and I lost 10 pounds. And that was when it was like it first clicked for me that it's not instant.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a long time. And so that for me was, what instigated me and me working together because I saw that and I wanted to pick another goal and then work towards that goal. So, but then that kept me focused and kept me running because I knew that I had a race coming up. But then by the next race, I was 225. So I lost 25 pounds between when I started running to that. And now I don't care really about my weight. I'm more focused on performance and obviously I want a six pack, but
yeah, I mean, that's a good mind shift.
But that's like, for me, that was probably the biggest mind shift that I had. And like, it finally clicked was when I saw the result, but I wasn't necessarily doing it to lose weight. I was doing it because I wanted to support Team Tim.
Right.
And then looking back, I was like, oh, I actually had, because I've been wanting to lose weight, at that point.
Yeah.
I lost 10 pounds and I realized that it's gradual rather than quick. And so that was a huge like mind shift for me, was just realizing it's going to take time, but then having like other goals that were helping me reach that while not getting discouraged. Because how many times have I called you and be like, bro, I'm doing the no food diet for 7 weeks, like
I'm going to try only protein.
Yeah. Like there's been so many things where like I've tried that and it lasted 2 days.
Yeah.
And it was because it was unrealistic and unattainable. I mean, there might be some crazy people out there that could do only meat for however long, but
there's anomalies everywhere. But it's like,
I
don't know. What would you say to someone who sees their long journey ahead of them and might be a little discouraged? What would you tell that person?
Focus on the here and now and just focus on being consistent. I was actually talking to Emily about this last night. The way my brain works,
I'm ready,
is like I prioritize and organize things in my head, like lists as a to-do. And if it's not important and if it's not time sensitive, it gets pushed out of my brain completely. That's why I forget about a lot of stuff. Like, I've realized this. It's a fault of mine. I legit forget about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But if you treat things like a list, it's easier just to be like, hey, boom, boom, boom. Like like for example, I know tomorrow I'm going to have back day, cardio for 45 minutes, and then I have work, and then I have a bunch of lists of items to do at work, and then I'm coming home and be a dad, and then I can chill. Like that's just how my brain works. And so like focusing on the here and now, focusing on just like what do I need to do right now, I think kind of makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. That's a good segue into kind of the next thought that I had on that is like, for me, the best defense of combating distractions is having clarity.
Yeah.
And being intentional with what you're doing. So kind of what you said with staying in the present. And you pretty much said like, you know exactly what you're doing, which is clarity.
Yeah.
And you have to define your vision, like where you want to go, and then align it with daily actions. Have you heard the quote from Aristotle where he talks about habits, excellence?
No.
It says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." And your daily actions should reflect your goal. I saw this other clip on TikTok. My TikTok is wild. It's like memes and then inspirational, random motivational speakers kind of things.
Same.
And this one lady, I don't know who she was, but she was saying that if you want to become the person you like dreamed of, then you need to start with your daily actions. Like act like the person you want to become. It doesn't go the other way around. You can't become the person that you wanted to be if your actions are, you know, if you're like, hey, I want to be David Goggins, but the couch looks nice, and you go and you sit and you don't go do what David Goggins does, whatever.
Yeah. You can't lose weight if you're not watching what you eat.
Exactly. So you got to be like what those people do. Like learn from them, read books about them, do whatever you need to do to figure out what they did differently that you can apply to your own life.
Yeah.
You said it too, like being grounded in the present. Like you can only influence the moment that you're in. You can't live in the past because that leads to regret. You can't live in the future because then you're anxious.
Yeah.
And so just be where you are now and do what you can to make it the best situation you possibly can. And when pain comes, you have to embrace it. Like you said with your knee, like if you're running and your knee starts to hurt, just be like, oh yeah, I feel that. It's part of the process.
And then it goes.
You got to get it done.
And it'll go away.
And I think when those times happen, when you realize that you're sitting in discomfort, like be proud of yourself for being there.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do. That's why people have Quitter's Day. That's why they stop their New Year's resolutions, because it's too hard for them. They either set their goals too high and weren't honest with themselves about where to start, or it just got too hard for them. Throw in the towel. And here's another Stoic quote. I say it all the time, but you suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. But that's yeah, 100%.
I see it a lot in my running.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like you get overhyped on how bad it's going to be, and then you get out there and it's just gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no pain.
That was me today. I had a 10 miler. Yesterday was one of the heaviest leg days I've had in a long time because I'm trying to focus more on lifting. And then I ran 5 miles after that, and I like got to the gym, and I was like, there's no way I can do this today. Like I'm dead.
Yeah.
But then I started, and it was like, oh, actually, it's not that bad at all. So be honest with yourself. And if you are suffering in your imagination, I would just say just start.
Yeah.
Like the 10-minute rule for running is a great one to try. Like if you don't want to do it, you don't want to run, you could apply this to anything. But if you don't want to do it for 10 minutes. And if it's hard enough, like if you get to that 10-minute mark, it's too tough, then fine, you can stop. But if you get there and you realize that you can keep pushing, then you should keep going.
Yeah. I also think everything in life is a choice. Like, I talked to Emily about this. Like, even your emotions, like it's a choice to feel that way.
Yeah.
I mean, in some cases, I think obviously there's medical data that shows that like some chemical imbalances make you feel certain ways you can't control.
Or like things happen, like a loved one dies, like that's gonna be hard to control.
Right. But like, I think everything's a choice, and I think if you choose not to quit, like that could be super beneficial. Because like for me, when I make the decision to run, I make the decision not to quit.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna finish halfway through unless I'm like sick, right? And I'm throwing up or something. But there's always, anomalies. But yeah, like I just make that decision not to quit. And then like by the time I'm like, oh, I got 2 miles left, like if I wanted to quit, I can't quit now because I only got 2 miles left.
Yeah. This is easy.
Yeah.
It's easy now. We're downhill.
So I think that's like another thing too is to just realize that everything in life is a choice.
Yeah.
And and we talked about this last time, choose your heart, all that stuff. But like it's a choice to feel negative about something.
Yeah.
You can change 100%. The way you feel about it just by making that decision.
It's exactly what like all the Stoics teach is like you have the choice to either get angry or like even people like Jesus talk about it. Like if someone strikes you on the cheek, give him the other one.
Yeah.
Like it's your choice. You don't have to react the way that you want to.
Yeah.
You just be in the moment and yeah, exactly. Like you have a choice to influence whatever it is.
Yeah.
What has patience with your goals taught you? Kind of talked about it a little bit with like, it's more of a process. You got to stay present. But is there anything else? Because I think that's where a lot of people fall off.
As part of my New Year's review that I did, I told you this before we jumped on, but I wrote down my flaws of last year and my strengths. And one of my strengths was consistent as a mother effer.
I mean, you could say it.
No, I'm not going to say it.
I don't
but
believe it.
Like that's I don't know, like consistency. Like we talk about it so many times, but it's literally just doing it like over and over again, even if you're going through the motions. Like I was reflecting, looking back on 2024, we're coming up on week 45 of training.
Yeah, next
together.
week will be 45.
And so like I was thinking about that. I was like, during those trainings, I think that I maybe missed 10 workouts. Maybe I would say probably less.
The only times you did were like when you didn't have access to anything or you were sick.
I was sick.
Yeah. That's it.
And so anyway, like I just I think it's just consistency. Like and having that mindset of like you got to continue. And like even if you have those days that you miss or you have setbacks, it doesn't matter. It's about just keep pushing forward.
I know. I used to think this advice was like total BS is when people would say like, usually it was with nutrition goals and it was like, oh man, I fell off the wagon. Like, and then you're beating yourself up the next day because you're like, I ate so much yesterday. It's like really the best thing for you to do is just do it better today.
Yeah.
Like realize it's like, okay, yeah, I might've messed up, learn from that and be like, okay, well,
I can give you a perfect example.
Let's hear it.
I came back into the office on Monday. There was toffee with chocolate on the top of it.
Ooh.
It was so good. I ate like a ton of it. There was Christmas crack. There was like cookies. I didn't have any cookies, but I had some Christmas crack and I had some toffee.
Yeah.
Tuesday was New Year's Eve.
Sushi. You and I had a lot of sushi.
Had a lot of sushi. And then the next day, same thing, locked in. But like, it was all planned. Like we ate a ton of sushi, but like I hadn't really eaten anything that day.
Yeah.
So like it was all prepped. And then, today I ate some toffee with chocolate on top of it. Tomorrow, I'm not going to. You know? It's just about balance.
I think balance is key because, like, there are going to be times when stuff like that happens. And I think it's important to not indulge, but, like, I for sure had some Christmas candy and cookies and crap over the past couple weeks. And, like, that's part of it. Like, you're supposed to enjoy life. It's not just supposed to be brutal.
Yeah.
Like, it just needs to be balanced. Like, you can't overdo it. And if you do, just get back on the horse the next day and tell yourself you won't do it. Like, simple as that. Right. Make it easy for you. And yeah, it's those small efforts that make success possible, but it has to be day in and day out where you're doing the same thing. And sometimes it's going to feel mundane. You're going to want to distract yourself. But when you do, you need to pause and ask, like, is this helping me get to my goal or is it helping me avoid them?
Yeah.
And be honest. It doesn't help when you lie to yourself. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions I have. But, I mean, distractions are inevitable. But, like, what I've learned over the years is, like, they're manageable. Like, you can deal with them. You can recognize they're there. In the same way, like, you have the choice to yell at someone when they cut you off in traffic and be pissed off about it, or you could just let it go. The same applies to like you're sitting at your desk and you have to do something hard, but instead TikTok sounds a little bit better, so you pull that up instead. Like, you have the choice.
Yeah.
And you have to quiet that voice of distraction, that siren call.
Yeah.
And keep going. Like, don't let it interrupt you. Because it's funny, everyone says like the biggest enemy to yourself is yourself, or however it goes. I don't know what it is, the phrase, but it really is true. Like, you can be your biggest enemy or your biggest supporter. And if you limit distractions and you're doing one thing every day to get yourself 1% better, you're making progress, and that should be celebrated. Like, you should be proud of that.
I think also being your worst enemy could be a distraction too. Like, one thing Emily and I have always struggled with is negative self-talk.
I think everyone does, dude.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But we were talking the other day, and I hope Emily doesn't get mad at me, but she was talking, super negative about herself.
Yeah.
And I asked her, like, name it all. Name all the negative stuff that you have to say about yourself. And then I was like, what are you doing to change those things?
Dang.
Because like, that was something I realized with myself is like, I was trying to do these goals, trying to reach those things, and I kept talking to myself like that I'm not good enough, I'm not losing enough, I'm not fast enough, like all these things. But when I was consistent, I kept doing the work, I kept ignoring it. Then when I would have those thoughts, I'd be like, well, I just ran 10 miles, so shut up. You know, like,
you're making progress.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier when you've put in the work and you're consistent, and, you continue to ignore those thoughts to push them out of your mind completely.
Yeah. And you'll get better.
Yeah.
Like, then you'll look back, and I think that's why it's important to journal, at least for myself, is because it's like a daily progress update in a sense.
Yeah.
I journal kind of randomly, like I'll journal about a topic or anything like that, but I always make sure I make a note of where I'm at with progress. Like, I had Allie on the other day, or I think I told the story, but if I did, I apologize. But I wrote in my journal about like the website getting made and like the newsletter and all these things that I was proud of. And I was like, I journaled about it because when I get discouraged, I want to go back and read that and be like, oh yeah, that I remember. 2 years ago, I was doing this podcast at a random kitchen table, Saratoga Springs. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was talking like this. I really was. I was like trying to influx my voice.
Very monotone.
Yeah, like so random.
Well. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still a little monotone, but I mean,
that's just how you talk.
That's just how I talk, so get over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like recognizing where I came from, and then same thing with fitness. Like, when I'm not reaching my fitness goals, I remember the 135-pound kid that was staring back at me in the mirror and was told not to run. Like, I remember those little things, and it helps me just keep going. And so, like, documenting your progress, making notes of it, I also think help you keep yourself focused on your goals.
Yeah. Which
limits distractions, which gets the job done.
Yeah.
Discipline gets you started, and consistency will always carry you across the finish line. That's it.
Perfect.
I got nothing else.
That's perfect.
But, I mean, like, if anyone is battling distractions, just do that audit. Like, take a note of things that are pulling your attention away. See where you can improve that, filling your time with other things that are more reflective to your goals, and just grind it out. Like,
act on it.
Let your actions, your daily actions, reflect the person who you want to become, and you will become that person.
Yeah.
You've seen that. I've seen that myself.
Yeah.
And, we're almost to 100 episodes. I never thought I'd get past 10.
Heck yeah, dude.
That's pretty cool.
Consistency.
That's consistency. Sometimes it goes up and down, but now we're locked in.
Yeah.
We're going. Getting after it's a movement. But anything else you want to say?
No, just get after it.
Get after it. That's right.
Like, I said New Year's resolutions are BS, but like, it is a good time to set some goals and start going on it. So
I think instead of New Year's resolutions, they should be called year-end reviews.
Yeah.
Just like how every business does it. Like, every business takes account of what went well and what didn't, and what they want to do better. So do the same for you. Like, and be honest with yourself during it.
Yeah.
I'm sad I'm leaving.
Me too.
That was depressing. I thought you were going to have more to say.
No.
For anyone listening, I moved back to Utah tomorrow. Have to get back up there for work, so I'll be coming down to Arizona occasionally, but we're still going to have you on.
Yeah.
We'll do some
I think I
Zooms
need
or
to
whatever.
do a surprise visit in Utah.
Yeah, and we can run the mountains
We can run
in the
mountains.
snow.
That'd be sweet.
So cold.
Yeah.
Worth
I'm
it,
in.
though.
I'm in.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on.
Thanks for
Spending
having
your time with me, helping me get this message out to others. And for all you people listening to this thing, keep getting after it.